Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. It's day 2 of this lovely event, and it's concentrating on tourism. The topic of revenue management is an exciting one because it talks numbers, and that's what we all are excited to hear about. And when we talk about revenue management, a lot of different pillars come to point. One being the global consumer demand, second being growth potential of the country versus demand from the global market, and third being customer preference, customer behavior, and tourist journey, let's say. A lot of different angles are addressed on that topic, and add to all that the technological part of it, the technological advancement in the tourism sector. Yesterday I was doing just a bit of research again, just to refresh my numbers, and something called World Travel and Tourism Council. They've just issued a report about the performance of the Saudi Kingdom in 2023. It was a staggering jump in terms of revenue. So according to the economic impact research, there's a 32% jump in expected revenue, which reached 444.3 billion riyals. That's really a wonderful number and a wonderful achievement for the country. And just so that we know, this amounts to 11.5% of the global Saudi economy. So just taking a bit pause on that point, 11.5% of the economy is just driven by tourism. That's a massive achievement for the country. So before we jump into all the intricacies and the strategies and all the different dynamics and the, let's say, difficulties in that area, let's ask a simple question to our great moderator, Salim and Mr. Mohammed. Let's take just a quick, I'll ask the team to introduce themselves and then we can start. So,
Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon. My name is Mohamed Ali. I'm the Cluster Director of Revenue for the Ritz-Carlton Riyadh and Ritz-Carlton Jeddah. I graduated from Egypt and I started my journey in Egypt back 15 years ago. All the 15 years I have been working for Marriott. I work in Sharm el-Sheikh, and then I moved to Sultanate Oman, Bustan Palace, Ritz-Carlton in Oman. I stayed there for 5 years, and then I'm here in the kingdom for the past 7 years, looking after the two iconic, the Ritz-Carlton Riyadh and Ritz-Carlton Jeddah. I'm sure that you are aware of both of them. They are iconic hotels also in the kingdom. They are the face of the country when the country is hosting some mega events. And it's a pleasure to be with you today and to get interact with many of you as possible.
Thank you very much. So let's start with a very important question. Why should we worry about revenue management? What's in it for us?
I can't agree more with Mr. Saada when he said that it's important of the revenue management, but it is that science that, okay, if I can compare it to the pilot and the airplane, it has the dashboard has the details, but where is the revenue management part in here? It is that part in the brain of the pilot, which it tells him this value is high or low, where he should hit. Is it important for him to lose the speed or too fast? Where he's going to hit with the airplane? The importance of revenue management has been grown, as has been said by Sir Mr. Shahrani. But the thing is that it is really critical right now. It's not only for the hotels, but also in the other firms. We are looking into the department where it can find the opportunity to grow further, the opportunity to uplift the revenue of the property or the top line of any property, any company, where to go, how to compete with the others, how to ensure that we are getting our fair share and exceeding in the market. This is important for all the industries, not only in the hotels, but it's important if I can link it with any other firms that think about it. Someone is going to sit and analyze all the data, the historical information of a property or of a company compared to the peers in the market. What could find as an opportunity? This is his role, is to enhance. If I'm making 1 million riyal, how I can make it 1,100,000, how I can get it double, and furthermore, just how increase into the share of the property or the company compared to the others in the market.
Sounds great, but let me double click on one of the key points that you mentioned, the competition and the market access. So you are a pilot, I like that terminology, and you're flying your plane. Obviously, you're not competing in the sky, I know that, but when you're flying in your plane as a pilot, how would you recommend for those pilots to navigate the challenges of the competition? Because when you hear the word competition, it doesn't always mean just drop the price. There has to be different strategies. So how do you propose for the hotel revenue management leaders to navigate the challenge of the competition so that they can optimize revenues?
Everything we say in the revenue management is start with a trend. Even an untrend is a trend. So if you start analyzing your history, you will definitely be easy to predict your future, whether it's a revenue management or your normal behavior. If I'm a morning person or afternoon person, how you can optimize this information to get the best out of the person. So not to only influence the decision, but also to say, listen, this is what's expected from here. So this is the importance of reading the data, analyzing them, just putting all the confidence on the data. It will support you to go further for any company.
Okay, sounds excellent. How about consumer taste, consumer satisfaction? What's the how do you drive the same knowledge based on what consumer like, because obviously sometimes we cannot model this touristic behavior, maybe in AI, maybe we have a different angle. So how do you advise taking this information from Mr. Salim into your area by combining it with the consumer behavior?
If we open the subject of AI, I can a little bit talk about it. So basically, when I started 15 years ago in the company back in Sharm el-Sheikh, it was that much difficult to know what's the price of everyone in the market before you decide your price. You have to look into different websites. Everyone, you track it manual until you get all the details. Then you think of your price, and this is taking a long time. Right now, the AI is helping us on collecting the data. If I want to remember what I did last year or the historical information of the property for a certain day, it will take me some time. But the AI is supporting us right nowadays, collecting all the information in one place. So it's easy for me to trigger all the competitors in one page for the whole month, and then I can decide where I'm heading. I can even understand easily which competitors is sold out, what's happening in the market. I can influence with my sales team if there is one of the competitors that is sold out, what's going on. If in the middle of the city, a couple of hotels that is sold out, that means there is something happening there. How can we benefit out of it? So it's easily you can get this information. The AI supported us a lot in terms of timing and even delivering some recommendation. Considering the question of Mr. Samer, the question is about the customer, and it's important that it's very critical because you are in the between the organization. You want to get the most out of the benefit of the customer to your organization. Meanwhile, you want to be fair when you are treating the customer. So there, when it will come to the segmentation part, that means, okay, we put each selection of type of guest into one pocket, and then do our potential to pay this amount, the others potential to pay the other. Let's explain it from a market like in Riyadh, where you have extremely high demand during weekdays. And when you break it down, you found that it's more about the business traveler coming to do business. So when they are coming to do business, their potential paying is different than when you are going with your family to attend for a leisure stay, whether you are celebrating your kid's birthday or your family, it's a honeymoon stay. So they have different needs in here and there. And then you put all these details in front of you, whether if it's a business traveler, how could potentially he be priced? And when I'm talking to a normal guest that is coming for a weekend stay, how much is could be potential? You study it from different angle, from the economic, from the GDP of the country, from the type of business that those are business traveler coming to do. If I'm coming to us talking about very medium construction companies, it's completely different than consultancy that they are dealing with giga projects in the kingdom. They are very time importance for them, and the speed of work. It's all these details that it support the revenue management when taking the decision of the pricing, that it can be fair for the customer and for the firm we are supporting.
That's fair enough, but let me stay with you, because what you mentioned seems to have touched on the domestic demand, which is fine, and the requirement from the client side, which is again good. But it sounded like as if this is some sort of reactive. How about when you want to proactively go after the international let's say, client side? How easy or difficult it would be to do that segmentation?
That's a great question, actually, and I loved it because when I was talking in a different conference 2 months ago, and I was outside the kingdom, and we were somehow representing the kingdom. We have 3 important calibers here for any international traveler. Whether some of them is under construction, like Neom, Red Sea is about to come for leisure destinations, and then Umrah and Hajj travel, which is Mecca and Medina, and then Riyadh and Jeddah mainly for the business travelers, the international ones. So if you're talking to any international customer, they will be between one of the 3 segments, whether they are coming for business. From Riyadh, it has the potential for you. You can cite the deal for you in Riyadh. It's fast growing in terms of a business. Hajj and Umrah, of course, it's needed for everyone right now. 10 years ago, it was very selective, very different in all the national third world economic countries. It was very difficult to get into Hajj and Umrah. Today, with the facilitation, everyone will come. And right now, even you can see people coming 3-4 times a year. So this is because of the facilitations coming. So when you are talking to them, we are still missing the third piece, which is under the construction part right now, is the resort areas that it can support the country to say, I have the 3 pillars of to mix the international travelers, whether they need the leisure, you need a business, and then they need Hajj and Umrah.
Wonderful. So he's starting to touch base on the advisory side of things, which is my area. Basically, the persona setting. When you start defining what personas are coming to countries, whether for pleasure, for business, what sort of business, when you start drilling down on the personas and you combine it with the development, then it gives you a big breadth of information you can target and then find the right people. Now we have a lot of inputs, a lot of data, a lot of crunching of numbers. We understand AI could be useful, but again, it requires some sort of analysis from our side. So how do you think we can leverage those advanced technology in order to dynamically dynamically maximize the revenue? You mentioned something about pricing. You mentioned something about finding the right prices. But to what extent such technology can help in that regard?
Yes. This one is really important. Usually, and not only in revenue management, at any decision we take, we should always look into the bigger picture. I might be doing this, my KPI is based on one, but this one is really 20% of the 100% importance of the entire organization, not only in a revenue management decision. So how important is this part? You look into the bigger picture, whether it's optimization, always optimal revenue. We call it optimal revenue. What could be the highest we can gain for the organization? Whether if we take the rooms part only, catering part, this transportation, how can we mix and package all of them? How can we get the best out of this? Because when we compete with our competitors, we look into all these data factors. If we do total revenue higher than them or lower, this is an important one. So looking at the bigger picture will always draw a conclusion, whether for revenue management or even in an operational part. It's a bigger picture role for everyone in the management.
But let's be fair here, Mr. Mohammed. You do realize you're putting way more pressure on hotel leaders in revenue management, because now you're adding the angle of total revenue, which is fine. But then you mentioned earlier the idea of the likes of Neom and Ritz and Qiddiya coming to the play. And those iconic projects by PIF definitely can offer way more from the total revenue management than what we're discussing today. So how do you foresee the impact? For example, let's say I'm one of the senior management in one of the hotels in Riyadh in South the country, and I'm looking at the total revenue as Mr. Saleh mentioned, but I'm foreseeing those developments. How afraid should I be in such development like Neom, like let's see, from a total revenue standpoint? Will this affect me or not, and why?
It will benefit to the current markets like Riyadh or central of Saudi Arabia or into the Biligram areas. The thing is that right now we have our certain segmentations, which is ongoing, whether they're coming for business or for leisure. But the new segments that is going to come, it's targeting first is regional. So all the GCC countries, rather than they are traveling abroad to go to Maldives or any Far East country, they would be coming into the Red Sea. And this is important for them. So this is a new market for them. We are not seeing that much they will come back to Riyadh or Jeddah or for Brickland, because it's easy trip for them. 2 hours, they can come for Riyadh, or 2 hours to go to Mecca or Medina. But what we are potentially waiting for is that this overflow that will come from European markets, international markets, they are coming mainly for the leisure part. So they are not affecting. It's a new businesses coming to those areas. Then we will start influencing them. Can you come to a country and then you don't visit the capital? And if they are Muslim, it is a one-time travel for them to come for the leisure part, which is by Neom or Red Sea. And then they go for Umrah or Hajj right after, whether this is beginning or after. So it's going to benefit. It's a new demand centers. It's not going to eat from the current demand. Definitely no. It is different criteria, but it would influence us that we can get a little bit more. The good thing that about them, even because they are starting from very high end, whether 5th generation as a Neom or Red Sea, they are starting at very high pricing point, which it can make easy for Mecca or Riyadh or Jeddah to say, listen, if you stay 2 nights more, it would equal 1 night at Red Sea, and you will be visiting 2 cities instead of 1. This is how we can sell it to the international markets.
Fine. So there's a potential. That's what Mr. Shah is saying. And if you're an investor out there, you can leverage that position. There's a lot of room for investment growth. That's a good opportunity. I'd like to address one more topic, which is from a technical standpoint. When you start playing with prices of the rooms, you may risk, let's call it, alienating some of your clients, because they're used to you paying X amount, and they've suddenly find out that your rate is spiking. So question to you, Mr. Mohammed, how do you balance basically the dynamic pricing to optimize revenues, to make you profitable, to make you more successful, and customer loyalty?
Yes, definitely. Dynamic pricing is a fair selling point, I call it, for both, whether it's a guest or for the company. When there is a high demand, which is usually the revenue management, they love the high demand where they can filter who's the highest paying, and then the low demand. So if there is an event that everyone would love to attend, then there you can have the opportunity to make the dynamic decisions that you will give a percentage out of your bar rate to certain what's called partners or contractors. You give them the dynamic, so whenever you grow, it will grow with you. And this is mainly targeting the top line, that it will increase your or enhance your positioning of revenue by making a dynamic decision. You don't need to think too many times. If you have 100 contracts going around, one of them, let's say 20% from your bar rate, but you would regret if you don't have a dynamic at this point, that you will be underselling your property to a certain company or to a certain contractor. Yes, there is a great value of having long-term relationship, but also it's important that you get the optimal revenue out of those type of events. It's important to have fair treatment for both of them. One person is growing, but the other is not, or the organization is not growing where you are serving. So it's important the dynamic is supporting everyone, see the demand, and then start to trigger the price where can capture the optimal revenue during the high demand days, and then tackle the days where it is really low demand by giving realistic prices. Look into the airlines. If you are traveling at 2 a.m., they're giving you a very low price compared to if you are a business traveler and traveling at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning. Why? They know that it's important for you, you don't want, but if it's not really urgent for you to travel at 6 a.m. in the morning, come at 2 a.m. and then we'll give you almost half a price. We all see these prices in terminology from the airlines, and this is the same for the hotels. So this is the importance of having dynamic. It's easy. You fill the empty seats during the need days, and then during the high days that you can get the optimal revenue.
It's all about money for Mr. Mohammed, definitely, how to optimize it. Again, this topic is very exciting because it has a lot of parameters, a lot of different factors. Let me add one more factor to the discussion here, which is basically the stretching the demands and the revenue management for online agencies, for third parties, for other agencies that can support the hotels, because you don't always go to hotel and book. You may book via Expedia.com, via almusafir.com, etc., etc. With such a proliferation of multiple distribution agencies, how do you maintain the right balance between the direct B2C, as you describe it, and the other players in the market?
Yes, because I remember when it was B2C only, back before the revenue management, and then introduced, okay, so hotels, they don't sell directly. It was mainly to travel agencies. They are selling the hotel, and in many times they are the one to put the rules. So imagine this is my property and someone else is going to put the rule for me. This is the price grossed for next year. This is what it could happen. And then later the hotels thought of it. First of all, it came the OTAs, as Mr. Salim was saying. The OTAs start to show online, and then people start to going www online, and then apps start to coming up. So it start to take some share from the B2C business until to go to the OTAs. And then hotels thought of it, okay, why don't we have our own way until to do B2B, direct from me to the customer? Because the customer, he comes to me, I serve him, get a great service, experience in the hotel, and then they leave, and then later on he will come back again. So why intermediary in between? And this is get us to the point what hotels could give to the customer in order to encourage them as add values to get directly rather than going through travel agency or through the OTAs. Actually, it is a love-hate story. We cannot terminate them. It is part of the business, but they are there and they are getting good share. And it exists, but the hotels would love also to see a growth in their direct business because it will save some cost for the hotels. So they start creating the loyalty programs. And loyalty programs right now, it became very famous for everyone. You start to put the app in your brand or telephone, whether it's for a hotel or it's for airlines or for anything, and you start chasing points behind each. And then when you are growing in your levels, they are treating you differently. This is all start to get the direct business to the hotels, and then to grow digital and to give them the add values that it support the customer to drive direct business compared to third parties.
Fair enough. He mentioned, my colleague Mr. Mohammed, on the loyalty program, and definitely it's in one of the areas. If I can relate that point to what Mr. Saleh mentioned, the idea that the B2B has shrank down to 45% while the B2C is going way more higher. Let me take those, highlight those 2 points to you. How would loyalty be useful in that context now that we have more B2C, and what sort of ideas you can propose for loyalty program to grow the total as well?
I pay my internet bill through the points, so imagine the loyalty programs has enhanced a lot. Okay. It's a great tool. It's a great tool for everyone. It is the thing that it tells why should I go direct with you rather than going to a third party. How you are going to propose. It's like a marriage proposal. How you want to have this marriage proposal done. This is each firm role is to think of it. What kind of add values that I can give to my loyal customer that when he's traveling to X city, he's staying only in my hotel. So this is you put it in front of you. It is a marriage proposal. What could you put in terms of benefits for your customer to keep them growing with you only?
Okay, thank you. One last question. Let me start, Mr. Mohammed. Based on all the wonderful and diverse topics that we discussed today, what are your thoughts from a total revenue standpoint moving forward for the audience?
First of all, okay, in Saudi Arabia, there are so many hotels, hundreds of them. I don't have a statistic to tell right now, but how many hotels? If we compare the number of hotels with the number of revenue management, whether it's manager, executive, or director in the field, completely, you will find 80% of the hotels, they don't have revenue management team. And this is my point to the audience. Think of your organization, whether a hotel or not a hotel. Do you have that person who can just sit and start studying your trends, start studying opportunity to grow? And this is how to grow. This is for organization, but for myself also, it's the same role I do it. How I can get the best out of me. it is the same, using the same methodology of revenue management, enhancing my time, doing all those stuff to my own. It will extra benefit me, whether financial or for a time that I can spend it. So collecting all the data, analyzing them, getting the right decision out of them for myself, for my organization, and for those hotels that they are losing opportunity to grow money. It is good time for you, especially here in Saudi Arabia nowadays, when the demand is high. You could get more, you can do more. One person cannot go and sell online and then go to sell to the customer and then go to meet in the operation. But you need someone that his focus is to find the opportunity where to grow and then give you the recommendation as a leadership in the hotel or in the company.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Please join me to thank those wonderful panelists for the amazing discussion. Thank you all for being here.